Morgan, hi.
Hi, Megan.
It is so great to be here finally in the studio. I just want to say I always kind of thought we would be doing this, having a show.
Yeah.
I feel like I said this about 5 years ago.
I think I remember you saying that.
You remember?
I was not as convinced at the time, but
I was convinced. It was before we went to the John Paul II Institute, and I just had this feeling like we were gonna have a show and we were gonna talk about theology of the body.
Here we are.
So here we are. So who do you think you aspire to be as a talk show host? Have you thought of that?
That's a good question. I think my favorite talk show people, or I guess podcast people, would be the Catholic Stuff You Should Know guys. I don't know if you guys know about the podcast. Here's a little advertisement for them.
Yeah.
Catholic Stuff You Should Know. It's these priests in Colorado. And they're just great. They're so funny, but they're like super intelligent and just, it's really, they're just
Sounds
like really
like good
chill.
people.
The vibe is really chill. That's what I aspire to be like.
So you want to be chill. That's like your talk show persona?
Yeah, normal, kind of just like, you feel like they're your friend.
Okay.
How about you, Megan?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say mine's more like a TV persona.
Okay.
Just TV person. And I would say Joanna Gaines from
Joanna
Fixer
Gaines.
Upper.
All right.
I just think she's so lovely. And she just has what it takes. Anyway, I think the point is maybe that we just hope people think we're cool, right?
That's all we want.
and it's kind of it's funny because our talk today is on the body and body image. And as we're preparing for this, we're like, how are we going to look? How's it going to be?
I know. It's so
it doesn't
funny.
escape anybody.
It's very true.
We're all kind of interested in how we look and how we appear to people.
Which is not always bad.
It's not always bad.
Here's to
Let's
that.
kick it off. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
Open your hearts, open up your hearts to Christ. Do not be afraid.
Before we get started, we want to invite you to join the Awaken Nation. The Awaken Nation is a group of donors that make this show possible. All it takes is a monthly donation, and you will get free access to media and special content through Awaken Catholic. To do that, go to awakencatholic.org/donate.
Also, you can join the Awaken app, which is kind of like a social media alternative. And there you can chat with other people within the Awaken community, but also the show hosts. Me and Megan are on there. We're happy to chat with any of you. And to get that, you just have to go to theawakenapp.io.
And now here's a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever dreamed of visiting Paris in the fall? Seeing the beautiful Eiffel Tower lit up by a sunset? Visiting and venerating holy locations of the Sister Saints of France in Lisieux, Paris, Lourdes, and more. This fall 2021, join Select International Tours with Claire Swinarski from The Catholic Feminist, author and speaker Catherine Whitaker, and our amazing hosts Morgan Holliger and Megan Burwell from Awaken's show Naked Without Shame on a once-in-a-lifetime Seine River Cruise pilgrimage. Join our friends at Select International Tours and Cruises with over 34 years of experience. They are the perfect company to help you experience pilgrimage. To learn more, visit selectinternationaltours.com/awaken. Bon voyage!
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Megan.
And I'm Morgan.
And this is Naked Without Shame. Morgan and I are really excited to be here to talk to you about something that's very near and dear to our hearts and to our journeys. We're going to be talking today about Pope John Paul II's Theology of the Body. And in that, we discuss the human experience, human love, and the meaning of life. For today's topic, we want to focus specifically on body image and what that has to do with the theology of the body.
Yes.
Often I think, Morgan, and tell me if you agree, it seems to me like there's kind of an understanding of those who know the theology of the body that think that it's really kind of a teaching on God's plan for marriage,
Right.
or other like sexual issues.
Yeah. Morality.
Morality, sure.
Yeah. Which it is. That's true.
It is. It is true. That is
Partially,
that is an important piece. I think the trick, though, to all of it is to realize that we need to understand who we are and why we are embodied in order to understand how to act. So that's why we want to kick off this season together in the studio with talking more about being a body and being a person.
We thought a good way to kind of introduce the topic of the body would be to talk about body image. Because I think, both of us realize that, I don't know, body image is something that a lot of people struggle with. And even even people who are Catholic and like very holy, prayerful people, like they don't necessarily have like a healthy relationship with their body.
Can maybe you talk more about like what body image is? Like what do you mean by body image?
I actually looked up the definition for the sake of this. Did you? Because I kept talking about body image. I was like, what is body image?
What is body image?
So I think it's just really simply what you think and feel about your body.
Yeah, that's big. And a lot of times it seems to me like we learn these thoughts about ourselves through all of the images that are bombarding us in society.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So never before in history do we have images of people on screens, on television, on the internet.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You would have paintings or sculptures, but images of real people. I think it's a very interesting thing.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And in that, we of course are seeing someone, right? We're seeing not just a physical body, but there is a person behind that.
Yeah.
But what tends to happen is that we just see the external of this person that we're not really encountering.
Right.
And then make judgments about it. And then we take that into understanding ourselves. So there's almost like a limitation there of who we are. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's just how this person looks, and that's how I need to understand myself as well. Does that make sense?
I think so. You're saying that we see these images, but like minus knowledge of the actual person behind the image. And so then we're bombarded with that. And then we kind of, in turn, start to see ourselves that way?
Yes.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, as merely just physical, merely just qualities that can be perceived.
Yeah, qualities. Yeah, exactly. Like you want this kind of nose, you want these kind of eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, this kind of body.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
For sure. And I really liked how you said before about, people who even do have like a self-confidence or maybe have like the perfect standard of beauty in their bodies, they can struggle with their own body image.
Yeah.
I was just listening to the news this morning and it seemed to be all about body image, which was interesting. Like all these pop stars were talking about their struggles with body image. I kid you not. This was this morning. Yeah. Like Demi Lovato is big on really sharing her story about her struggles with her own body image. And she's a beautiful woman.
I know. That's what's so interesting. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about too with this topic, is that it seems like in our culture, almost the people who are closest to having like this idealized image that we see everywhere, they're the ones that struggle the most. They're the ones that they really struggle to love themselves and actually to see themselves accurately. So there's this thing, I mean, people kind of throw around this phrase, body dysmorphia.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very prevalent in people. I mean, I think it's prevalent just in the general culture, but it's especially prevalent in people who struggle with things like eating disorders. But yeah, I think this is an interesting thing because, I don't know, when you think about it, for me, it kind of indicates that it's not just a problem of us having, I don't know, these idealized images everywhere and we're bombarded with them. I think that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there's actually something deeper going on. I think that it's actually more related if you, sort of press it. It's more related to the shame that we have in our bodies, surrounding the shame that sort of surrounds our bodies. And yeah.
And do you think the shame then comes from not meeting a standard that society gives, or where do you think that originates from?
Yeah, I know. I think it must be deeper because we were saying, you have the perfect body. I mean, you hear this all the time, these people who have the perfect body and yet they're the ones that struggle so much.
Yeah.
And then, people who like, I don't know, they don't struggle so much, and they're not as concerned with like, reaching this like perfect physical form. But I don't know. I think there's something interesting. So like, what's the difference is kind of what I want to get at. Like, how do you, so if it's not just about reaching this perfect ideal of beauty in order to love yourself, like how do you love your body? How do you kind of like, like I was saying, like we live in a culture where like this having this negative body image is widespread, like absolutely rampant. And so I think like a lot of people have the question, even within like Catholic circles where like we hear all the time, like God loves us, God's, sees us as his children and we're beautiful and all these things. And yet we still don't have this like healthy relationship with our bodies.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of shame surrounding our bodies. When we look in the mirror, I don't know, we don't love what we see.
Yeah. I'm going to use the language of body image here to maybe then, like you're saying, challenge our understanding and take in the theology of the body as a message that helps us understand what we really are imaging. Right.
Okay.
So as a body, we do have these, we're seen, right? We can be seen.
Yes.
So let's talk about what we're really seeing. Before we continue, we want to remind you that we are going to a pilgrimage in France, and we'd love for you to consider joining us. Watch this.
You. You know you've always wanted to go to Paris. Well, now's your chance. If you go with Select International Tours, the sponsor of today's Awaken Catholic Show episode, you can join Claire Swinarski from the Catholic Feminist podcast, as well as author and speaker Catherine Whitaker, and our amazing hosts Morgan Holliger and Megan Burwell from Awaken's show Naked Without Shame, on a once-in-a-lifetime Seine River cruise pilgrimage in France. Visit and venerate the sister saints of France in Lisieux, Paris, Lourdes, and more. Sacre bleu! Learn more by visiting selectinternationaltours.com/awaken.
So we were saying that oftentimes being bombarded by all these images in society, just the mere appearance of a body can teach us about who we are. What we want to propose today is that the theology of the body offers more to what that image or the understanding of our bodies is.
Right.
In order to do that, it's important to know that our creation actually gives us the answer to this image, who we image. And that's what we want to talk about a little bit here.
Right.
So in the theology of the body, God says that he is a creator. God reveals himself as a creator in Genesis. He says that he created everything and that he made it good. He also says that he creates man in his image and likeness. So here we see that, in my creation, in the first moment, so to speak, of my existence, I'm first imaging God.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I'm imaging God.
Yeah.
Also, I think a really interesting thing that Morgan and I have learned in our time studying the theology of the body is how God creates. So God, as we all know through our Christian faith, God is love. And so when love creates, it creates from itself as a gift. And that is so amazing to think about. So before the world existed, there was nothing. But love, when it loves, it creates a gift, right? Mm-hmm. And this is precisely what creation is then. So if, for instance, I am really kind of into like art and like wanting to paint a lot now. So I just want to like paint flowers all day, actually. But
awesome.
Or just,
I didn't know
things.
That.
Yeah. I'm really into it. I really want to learn more. But
that's cool.
My example here is that there's something within me then that I want to create onto the paper, into my art. So there's something of me that's being reflected into that comes from my heart and my mind when I create it. Likewise, like that's kind of how God creates us is that he is love and he creates love.
Right.
So creation is love and it's a gift.
That was a great summary, Megan.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks. Yeah. It's really, really illuminating things. So like at the foundation, once again, of what the body, what a person is and communicates is a gift. Simply
Wow.
a gift.
Yeah.
And in fact, even before we do anything, even before we choose to love, which is important, of course, when the human person is choosing and acting and moving, you know, it's good to love, try to love people, try to love the world. But what we want to, I guess, establish here in this talk is that before we do anything, we are first communicating that we are a gift.
I guess I have a question, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of, at least if you're Christian, you understand this in terms of like, yeah, God created me, and so therefore I am good. But I think that we often, I don't know, we associate that with our intellect or our soul, but the body, I think, is like an interesting and sort of challenging thing. I don't think we always see the body as like part of this, part of this being created in the image of God. I mean, actually, like as we've studied at the John Paul II Institute, this is a big sort of point of tension throughout the Christian tradition. Is the body part of the image of God? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we would say yes. I mean, I think I think throughout the tradition, there are indications that that is the case. But John Paul II is kind of the first sort of big person to really define that and say, yeah, the body is like inherent in the person. The body, is part of the person. It's not just this sort of, I don't know, this tool or this exterior thing that I could sort of take or leave. But it's me. The body is me in some sense. You can only see a person through a body.
Yeah, I don't know if I would add anything else to that. That was pretty good, Morgan. Yeah. I think the main point is that creation, what is tangible, what we can feel, what we can see, that matters, and that communicates God, because we are a gift from God, and that gift is good.
Yes,
that gift is good. God says that we're also good.
Yeah. I don't know. Why do you think that we struggle so much to see that in our culture? We are, in a lot of ways, so far from that understanding of the body is this reflection of God and this something that's inherently good. I don't have to make it good. I don't have to diet and exercise and wear makeup and do all these things to then make the body good, even though, there's nothing wrong with enhancing the natural beauty of the body. But yeah, I think that there's this sort of wound in our culture and our ability to see this, what you're saying. Yeah. And so I guess my question is, everything you're saying is so beautiful. And I really desire that. I desire to like be able to see the world that way. But how do you think we get there?
I would first say that it takes really starting to believe that this is our identity. Once again, it is hard. Yeah. It is hard to see these things when you're just in the world, right?
Yeah.
But taking in even the simple thought that like I am created by God and He loves me. And everything He creates is a gift that I can understand. When I see something, I can understand it. I was driving through the hills, mountains, hills. It depends on how you see them. Depends. If you're like out west, the hills of Pennsylvania, for instance, they're not really mountains. But I was driving through, and I was just thinking about these points, and I approached this beautiful hillside as I was driving, and I thought, oh my gosh, like God is so close to me, and he loves me so much in this gift.
Wow.
Because I'm perceiving such a beautiful thing of nature.
Yeah.
And I can understand it. And it was created by God for me to enjoy and to love and to delight in. That's this really simple example, but it really, I think, illuminates maybe the point of how do we get there? We start to really take into ourselves like, oh yeah, I'm created as God from.
Creative.
Cut that out.
That's heresy.
That's heresy.
You're created by God.
Yeah, I'm created by God. So I'm created by God who loves me.
And then I can begin to see creation as
love.
as love and as gift.
Yes.
But do you think that's harder with yourself? Because I would say the same thing as like, I would say that at least that it's sort of easy for me to like look at a beautiful sunset or whatever, even another person.
Yeah.
But when it comes to looking at myself, I think I would struggle more with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that for me, it's like something in progress. Like I've definitely not reached this point of like, oh, I am perfectly secure in my body and the way I look.
As we said in our intro conversation.
Because we were getting ready and like obsessed with how we would look for this.
Right. Please like us.
Please like us.
You have freedom. Go ahead. Okay.
You don't have to like us. I think I'm definitely not perfect at it, but I've made great strides just in my own journey and like walk with God of like what you're saying, like really praying about the fact that I'm created by God, and I'm created as my body is like, a gift, even if I don't naturally see it that way sometimes. So I'd say it's like the big thing is like through prayer and sort of reflection and study. That's been super helpful. But then I would say really probably the biggest thing for me is just being loved by people, like being in a community of people who love me. And I know that love, like in some ways is unconditional. Like it comes from our shared foundation in Christ and in the church. And that has like really actually, I think, transformed the way I see, like the way I see my body. When I look in the mirror, I think it's different. Because I think, the point I wanted to make when thinking about this talk is that you can either look, when you're looking in the mirror, you can either do that with like this gaze of shame, which I think is something we kind of inherit with original sin, is that there's this sort of severing between the body and the soul that happens in original sin. So we're kind of all like crippling through life with that wound, that kind of original wound. But then I think there's this sort of double wound in our culture. Like what you're saying with like these, this very image saturated culture. And I think also our roots in Puritanism is a big thing. This way of seeing Christianity as the body is bad, the body just causes lust, or it gets in the way because it has all these passions. But it's not good. It's actually, you can't really redeem the body fully within that worldview. And whether we realize it or not, that way of thinking is very much in our culture. We've all been raised with that. For sure. In some way.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think when you're looking in the mirror, you can that's sort of like what we're working with in a certain sense. And then there's all these other more individual wounds, like, things that happen to you really shape the way you see your body, especially from a young age.
Right. Absolutely.
So if you have all that baggage coming in, looking at yourself in the mirror, I mean, like you could be an absolutely beautiful person and you could look at yourself and think, I am hideous. Yeah. You can't see yourself rightly. So there's that sort of way of looking at the body, or there's this way of looking at the body, which is something, again, I think that like really can only happen through experiencing love. And I'd say ultimately experiencing like the transcendent love of God.
Yeah. I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I was just going to add that.
Okay. Yeah.
That
please. Please do that. I don't think I knew what I was going to say. No. So.
Okay, I'll try. I'll take it. Right. Like you're saying, the love of God. I think the gaze of Christ is really the answer to try to see how he sees you.
Yeah.
You know, and learning how he loves.
Yeah.
You know, I did talk a lot about God as creator, but he, and that he's love, but maybe taking some time on your own to think about what that means, what love really is, and seeing then how Christ loves in that way.
Yeah.
And then you see it through other people. You know, his love is embodied. Theology of the body, we incarnate love, right? So that's passed through other people, because Christ loves them and they love other people. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And maybe to start to wrap up,
Yeah.
I think I wanted to ask the question of, Megan, have you ever, I mean, I'm sure you have, but have you ever like encountered a really beautiful person? And can you describe what that's like? What is this true beauty
Yeah.
that we're talking about? And I guess
That's a
I mean
great
like this,
question.
not like just someone who's attractive, but
Yeah.
like someone that it's like, wow, I really see the
Yeah.
beauty of this person.
Yeah.
Like, what is that experience?
Yeah. I would say, to be honest, the people who come to my mind are not like they're pretty ordinary looking people.
Yeah, they don't like meet this like
Right.
perfect standard.
No.
Yeah.
Like they're just normal people who are very free
That's interesting.
and secure.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. There's a freedom and a security that comes when I encounter that beauty of a person who really looks on me with love,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I guess that's the experience I would say.
Yeah.
There's
That's super
there-
interesting.
there's a freedom from the lies of who we are in the person, you know?
Yeah. And they're just kind of like in their body. I mean, people talk about like saints and they say they have this presence and you can really see that communicated in their body. Yeah, it's just this sort of otherworldly presence. And I think what people may be getting at is exactly what you're saying. Like this perfect freedom in the body of like their body and their soul are like a perfect harmony because of like their deep relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And you really see that. And it's interesting that more than anything, more than like having whatever, the perfect shaped nose, I don't know, the perfect eyes, that like seeing the person, like who you really are, animated in the body freely, that is the most beautiful thing. That's like so attractive. So I think like really it's a journey of learning that we are loved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, learning to sort of just see ourselves through this, like I was talking about, this gaze of love. And then you'll find that really like you'll look in the mirror and you'll say like, wow, I'm beautiful.
yeah. Kind of like I did with the mountainside, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, wow, this is so beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's because I'm loved.
Yeah.
And I am loved. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our conversation. We want you to remember that you are good and you are a gift. We'll
Yes.
see you next time.
See you next time.
This show and all media on Awaken Catholic is made possible by the Awaken Nation and the Hallow app. The Awaken Nation is a community of people like you who support all things Awaken for as cheap as a cup of coffee a week and get access to exclusive content. Learn more by visiting awakencatholic.org/donate. Hallow is the only audio-guided Catholic prayer app focused on contemplative prayer and traditional Catholic meditation such as Lectio Divina, Daily Examen, and the Rosary. We here at Awaken all use Hallow every day and love it. To learn more or give it a try, visit hallow.app/awaken.